Now there's one small thing that I've omitted from the notes, and that was to put another layer of colour onto the turret roof to leave a suggestion of the tip being lead and the rest being slate. So I'm going to use another layer of the same pale grey. You can either use Payne's grey, or if you chose to use a mix of Prussian blue and cadmium red to make your grey, you can use that again. But it doesn't want to be too dark, because we still want to have light on this side eventually. And it will look darker because we're putting a second layer on. Now, just pencil in a line for where this is coming, bearing in mind the perspective, it should go up in the middle. So I've loaded my brush with my Payne's grey, and I'm just putting a second wash over all of that lower part of the roof. And you can see it's coming out darker because there are now 2 layers in this part of the roof. So put that on and let that dry. Then I'm going to put some colour into the flower beds at the bottom. You can either stipple some really pale pastel colours where the flowers are going to come onto dry paper, or what I'm going to do is dampen the paper to begin with, and then just put little touches of pale colour, a little bit of a slightly mauvey colour into those flowers, a little bit of pink, and allow it to spread so that you're creating blushes of colour. Maybe a bit of cobalt. And the same over this side. Dampen, drop in your colour. If you're going to do this onto dry paper, you need to dilute your colour down a little bit more. I'm putting on quite concentrated pigment, but the water is going to dilute it and make it dry a lot lighter. I'm going to have some yellow over here as well. Do leave some gaps in between. Bit of blue over here. And maybe some red flowers to look like geraniums. Reds always work well where you've got a lot of green, so I'm going to use a bit of cadmium red and just maybe touch in a couple of bits of cadmium red, and then let that dry.